Imagine two people. Person A saves $200 every single month, no excuses. Person B also saves $200 every month but invests it. For the first 2 years, nothing interesting happens. Person A has $4,800 in a savings account. Person B has maybe $5,200 if the market behaves, not a big difference. But then something strange starts to happen. By year 5, Person A has $12,000. Person B has roughly $15,000. Still not life-changing. Then year 10, Person A, $24,000, Person B, over $37,000. Now the gap is real. But here, what nobody tells you. The real change doesn't happen at year 10. It happens much, much earlier. It happens the moment your money starts making more money than you do. And for most people, that moment arrives right around $10,000 invested. Today, we're going to walk through why everything, and I mean everything, changes after your first $10,000 invested. Not because $10,000 is a lot of money, but because of what $10,000 does to your psychology, your habits, and your future self. Let's get into it. Most people think about investing backwards. They believe that you need a lot of money before investing matters. They say things like, I'll start investing when I have $5,000 saved up. Or what's the point, the returns on $1,000 are tiny. And honestly, that makes perfect sense on the surface. If you invest $1,000 and the market goes up 10%, you made $100. That's a nice dinner, not financial freedom, so why bother? This is the most common money mistake young people make. They confuse absolute returns with behavioral momentum. Here's the truth. The first $10,000 is not about the money. It's about crossing a psychological threshold where your relationship with money flips upside down. Before $10,000, you are working for your money. After $10,000, your money starts working for you. And that tiny shift changes everything: your confidence, your decisions, even how you handle emergencies. Let me explain what actually happens at $10,000. Step 1: the math of meaningful growth. When you have $1,000 invested, a great year in the stock market, say 10%, gives you $100. That's $8 per month. You won't feel that, you won't even notice it. When you have $10,000 invested, that same 10% return gives you $1,000. Now we're talking about a real number, $1,000. That's a car repair, a cheap flight, or 2 months of groceries. But here's the psychological kicker. A 10% year is average. Some years are down, some years are up 20%. In a 20% year, your $10,000 earns $2,000. That's $166 per month without you lifting a finger. Now compare that to saving. To save an extra $2,000, you'd have to skip eating out, cancel subscriptions, work overtime. But with $10,000 invested, the money just hands you $2,000. And that changes how you think. Step 2: the effort versus passive income flip. Psychologists have a term called effort justification. It means we value things more when we suffer for them. That's why saving $2,000 feels hard and meaningful. But earning $2,000 from investments feels almost fake, like a cheat code. And that feeling is exactly what you want. Because once your brain realizes that money can grow without your effort, you stop obsessing over pinching pennies and start obsessing over building the machine. Before $10,000, you think, how can I save more? After $10,000, you think, how can I make my money work harder? That single question changes every financial decision you make. Now here's the deeper psychological shift that almost nobody talks about. The identity shift. Before $10,000 invested, you see yourself as someone who wants to be wealthy. After $10,000 invested, you see yourself as someone who is building wealth. That might sound like wordplay, but it's huge. When your identity changes, your behavior changes automatically. Let me give you an example. Think about someone who wants to get fit versus someone who is a runner. The first person has to force themselves to go to the gym, the second person just runs. Same action, totally different motivation. The $10,000 mark is where you stop being a future investor and become an actual investor. And investors don't panic sell. Investors don't skip their monthly contribution because they want new shoes. Investors don't check their portfolio every hour. Because investors have seen something that non-investors haven't. The boring magic of time. The snowball visibility threshold. A snowball is small at first, you roll it and it picks up a little snow, you keep rolling and eventually it's too big to stop. But here, the problem, for the first several rolls, the snowball looks exactly the same, you can barely see the growth. That's $0 to $10,000. It feels pointless, you're doing all the work, the snowball is barely growing. But at $10,000, the snowball is big enough that every roll adds a visible layer. You start to see the compounding, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. That visibility changes your patience. Suddenly, waiting 10 years doesn't feel like deprivation. It feels like watching a movie you already know the ending to, and the ending is amazing. The fear inversion. Before $10,000, a market crash feels terrifying. You think, I'm losing money I worked for. After $10,000, if you truly understand how compounding works, a market crash feels like a sale. Because you're no longer focused on today's price, you're focused on the number of shares you own. A crash lets you buy more shares for the same monthly contribution. That's not a theory, that's a psychological switch that only flips after you've seen your money survive ups and downs. And that switch is priceless. So what should you actually do differently knowing this? 1. Stop trying to skip to $10,000. You can't cheat the first part. The first $10,000 is slow, it's boring, it feels useless. That's normal, that's not a sign you're doing something wrong, that's a sign you're still in the invisible phase. Your only job is to get to $10,000 as fast as reasonably possible. Not by gambling on crypto, not by day tradings. By consistent, boring, automatic investing. 2. Use the match trick. Every time you spend money on something unnecessary, ask yourself, would I rather have this or get 10% closer to $10,000? Because here's the math. If you skip one $15 takeout meal and invest it instead, you're not saving $15. You're moving $15 into a machine that will turn it into $30 in 7 years, $60 in 14 years, and $120 in 21 years. That's not a sacrifice, that's buying future freedom at a 90% discount. 3. Automate before you feel it. The single biggest mistake people make is trying to remember to invest. You won't, your brain is wired to prioritize today's dopamine over tomorrow's wealth. So set up an automatic transfer the day after you get paid. Even $50 per week, even $20 per week. Automation is the only way to trick your brain into building the snowball without the daily pain of choice. 4. Don't check your portfolio until you hit $10,000. I'm serious. Checking your investments before you have meaningful capital is like weighing yourself every hour on a diet. You'll see noise, get emotional, and make bad decisions. Set a rule, no checking until $10,000. By then, the ups and downs will feel smaller relative to your contributions, and you'll have built the habit of not panic selling. Let me leave you with a story. 2 friends start investing at the same time, same income, same age. Friend A saves $200 per month in a savings account earning 0.5%. Friend B invests $200 per month in a basic low-cost index fund earning roughly 9% on average. After 5 years, Friend A has $12,100, Friend B has roughly $15,500. Not a huge difference, Friend A feels fine. After 15 years, Friend A has $36,000, Friend B has roughly $74,000. Now Friend A is confused, they saved the same amount, how did this happen? After 30 years, Friend A has $72,000, Friend B has roughly $365,000. $365,000 versus $72,000. Same monthly sacrifice. The only difference, Friend B crossed the $10,000 threshold in year 4, Friend A never did. Here's the thing. The first $10,000 is not a financial milestone. It's a psychological metamorphosis. Before $10,000, you're pushing the snowball uphill. After $10,000, the snowball starts rolling on its own. And once it starts rolling, it never stops. So if you're watching this and you haven't hit $10,000 yet, good. You're exactly where you need to be. Your only job is to keep going while it feels pointless. Because one day, probably sooner than you think, you'll check your account and realize the money you invested last year just earned more than you did this month. And at that moment, you'll understand why everything changes after your first $10,000. Thanks for watching. If you want the exact step-by-step guide to going from $0 to $10,000 without feeling like you're suffering, check out the video on screen. And I'll see you in the next one.